had to hit him with that. All right, episode 17, man. I believe James and I, it's been a couple weeks, man. End of the NBA season, finals. We're headed into the draft and all this stuff. What's good, James?
Nothing much, man. Feeling relaxed, feeling pretty good. A lot of different stuff's been going on. It's been fun to listen to.
Nice, man. Before it feels like it's been a month, man. I don't know if we'll fit it all into this, man, but we're gonna keep hitting y'all through the summer. iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, all that stuff. Couple of things, couple of pop culture world things or whatever that I wanted to touch on real quick. So I don't even know how to say this kid's name. Triple X, something, right? Everybody seen the footage of this young rapper who got shot in Florida. And to me, man, it was kind of like I wasn't feeling the footage. I don't know if you caught any of it, James, but
No, I mean, I had seen something else, but no, explain it.
well, so I don't know the details. And we're again, those of you just tuning in, I shouldn't have started on a downer, but I just want to go and say that, like, if I've come across a body, I'm not getting my phone out. That's all I'll say about that. So this young rapper got shot, and he was slumped in his Lambo or whatever it was. And then another young rapper in Pittsburgh, I don't even, it's just the violence, man. The violence was crazy all in one day. So I know, like, my kids and teenagers and social media has been going crazy about that. And it is what it is, man. The cameras, I didn't feel right about seeing that footage over and over everywhere. It's like on people's Facebook pages, just dudes slumped. And the other thing that happened, let's bring this back to some more positive, I guess you can say, is the surprise Jay-Z and Beyonce album?
Yes, that was excellent. Honestly, I can be relatively critical with certain things, but my takeaways, I like the fact that Beyonce's vocal register is exactly where these other dudes are trying to sing. That's her natural register. And I think that she was really hitting the corners and it sounded pretty good. And she definitely knows what she's doing. So my reaction was, it was a little weird with some of the art exposés that they were trying to create, but the video was a little off and a little strange in some ways, but the music was I think it was decent.
I thought the video screamed of, like, satanic type of initiations and some kind. It was a spooky video. I know Jay-Z, and he's had ever since the Magna Contra or whatever it was. He's kind of had that theme, but it screamed Illuminati, like sacrificial type shit to me in the video, right?
Yeah. Because it seemed like there was even a point where somebody's thumbs were on the picture, and there was people laying on the steps, hecka weird, raising in different ways. Yeah, it was a lot of imagery that was crazy. The Da Vinci Code and all those different things.
There's
kind of crazy.
There's so many ways to read it, right, and unlock it. And I'm sure we'll find some of the conspiracy theorist Illuminati videos out pointing out every little symbol. But it just that was the initial take. That Beyonce is looking very healthy after, what is it, 2 children, right?
Yes, she
voluptuous. And but to me, I'll be honest with you, man. I gave the album a listen twice, 2.5 times through when I'm working out or doing basketball and whatnot. And I understand her talent and all this. It's not for me. I'm not trying to hear Beyonce like braggadocious rap. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the vocals and the artistry, I understand that, but, like, the majority of the album kind of is like Beyonce. It's way more Beyonce. And there's, like, a bunch of her, like, flow rapping. So, like, I get it for the female fan base. I'm not going to ride around in my car knocking that shit.
No, I hope not.
Like,
I know you're not.
And not that I'm supposed to, but I'm just saying. So I appreciate the artistry of it. I thought it was well done, but it's not for me. Anyway, enough of the pop culture, man. I know I want to address, I've had a couple people are like, where you at on your channel? I took a week off and all this stuff. And I guess the thing that people wanted me to address most was, and I'm not sure if you caught this, we'll have to add this video or soundbite to the video. The Warriors parade, Bob Myers kind of, snuck jabs in at KD. It's been well publicized now. Did you catch any of that?
Yeah, you were telling me that for his ego, he should have known how he was, and some of he didn't earn it or something along those lines. A comment related to that, right?
Right. Yeah, it was a joke of, Steph was different. Steph was here for the long haul, and he earned it. And everybody's like, oh, and KD's face immediately. If you read it, if you did slow framing, his face totally was like, he was surprised, and whether it was tongue in cheek or not, dude, it was. We've all seen who KD is at this point. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, my God. And then the host, Bob Fitzgerald, his little leprechaun ass was. He always puts his foot in his mouth, right? He just thinks he's way funnier than he is. But it was a the one thing about the parade was I guarantee I will bet everything I have in the bank. Not that it's much, but I will bet that Swaggy P, Nick Young, if he had one of those like walkers, the watches, the exercise watches, he took more steps during that parade than he did this NBA season. Like he burned more calories during that parade than the NBA season. Like I give him props for sure. He contributed. He had his little moments, but I'm just saying he was, to me, what else? What else could you expect from him, really? But he was basking in it as if he was like one of the four horsemen,
Yeah. He had led the charge.
Yeah, it was. But is it surprising? No. But I just thought, my God, he had Jordan Bell just off the henny, right? He went into the crowd.
Yeah.
And so he ran. Jordan Bell was out of henny, and he spots out some people in the crowd, and now everybody sends him henny bottles. Man, Warrior fans, y'all need to chill. We may ruin this dude's career.
Yeah,
sending him
and life
case loads
also
of henny,
too.
man. But they uncorked. And it was a third. It was a different from the first two. They did it differently. They were smart. They had the little interview and stage thing before the floats because everybody's lit as hell. They're Draymond's famous little incidences in the past. But let's get into the meat of this NBA free agency off season. LeBron, Kawhi, draft, all this good stuff, man. We covered, our first pod was talking about Kawhi and how it doesn't look good. What is your take on this early, obviously it's everything is speculative.
I think about it whenever people say that Kawhi owes him a sit down or some type of alliance has to be formed between the two. They need to get into a room and mediate and figure it out. There is some truth to that, but I think he has let his camp know that he wants to get out and basically go to LA. I'd love to see him there. He has options, but I don't think that the Spurs are just going to give him up so easily. There's definitely going to have to be an equal amount of assets that they can get. And I like the comment that you had shared that sometimes teams who've been struggling and on their way up get enamored with their young talent. So let's say, for instance, they do need to piece off a Kuzma or some other compartmental pieces. That might be advantageous because you're saying that you want to go with what you have now. So if you can build that super team, you kind of have to build off that now. So those are my takes with the Kawhi situation, man. And Zaza, when you think about this, one man's poor clear out has a long-term butterfly effect to this. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of
right. Weird. Yeah, it definitely didn't help, but it's there's people. I will say this: there's people because this is a quad. There are medical people that say this is degenerative. And so there has to be an awareness of that. But back to what we were talking about is because Warrior fans, you OGs understand what I'm saying here. The years, the dog day years where, it was Antoine Jameson, it was Larry Hughes, it was Anthony Randolph, Danny Fortson, Mark with the C Jack. Oh, I could go on and on, right? Bobby Sura. And it was like we were so desperate to be good and relevant, and you hung all your hope on these guys that were, some of them were decent players, but they were never franchise players, obviously. And your view becomes skewed, your lens of them, you value them too much, and that's just a trend. But I'll say this, like because I guess the narrative right now is like, why would they trade him to the Lakers? And some people feel like he has I don't think Kawhi has that much. If you look at the Spurs' history through their organization, I don't think they're gonna budge. I don't think they're going to budge off it. They're like, I think they may just be like, play out the year then, fool. But right now, I guess it was just reported this evening. I read, I think it was on Bleacher Report, saying that Pop sat down with Kawhi in San Diego tonight for dinner, and so I'm guessing the pitch Pop. I mean, who else could do this better? But his pitch is probably like, give me one more year. We're gonna do this, this, and this. What if he's bluffing with LeBron? He's like, I'm about to go get Bron. Give me this year to prove it to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if he could feast that'd be definitely feast or famine. But I don't know. I think he definitely wants to get out. You have a lot of good points about why he may. But then on some the other trades, where's LeBron going to go? It's just kind of crazy. coined the term LeBronzo and all these different things. I don't know. I think you're just going to have to move way too many pieces. I'm not quite sure. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't go to Houston. I just personally, as you guys know, don't like Houston, so I hope he doesn't go there for any means. But what are you thinking? What do you think LeBron does, or how it pans out? You think it's contingent upon some of the
Well,
moves that take place in the draft?
I think no. I think everybody's waiting for LeBron to make moves. So he's like the first piece to go. I think it's the Lakers, man. I think it's the Lakers. Yeah.
Even from a business standpoint, as you think of someone's establishing legacy, it's interesting to talk about legacy until you've gotten to a point such as that. Like you think of an epic game or something that has a lot of lore to it. So LeBron really is a conglomerate. So if he can learn up under Magic and build that and increase his business, I think it's just a good move all the way around. Because Kobe then transferred into doing a lot of the media stuff that he wanted to do. So there's just a lot of avenues I think LeBron would be attracted to, just in California in general.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm leaning towards. At this point in his career, I think it means more than just like winning and team fit. I think lifestyle is involved. I think all of those factors are involved. I think one thing is funny though, that like people, I don't know if you remember this. This is a conversation we had maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. And it was when in the heart of this Warrior Cleveland rivalry, the reshuffling, it was when Durant joined the team. And I said something about how LeBron is ultimately responsible for this, right? You know what I'm saying? Like when he went to Miami, people say, oh, it's not the same thing and stuff. But and everybody brings up the old KD tweet where he's like, oh, what happened to when we were competitive, right? And, he kind of did a total 180 on that. But LeBron started these super teams in the player power. Right. And now, I said that it's going to end up biting him in the foot, him trying to GM Cleveland. And now, like, I think he's in a spot where it's going to be, I think it's the Lakers, man. I think it's the Lakers. It's all going to be, obviously it's all speculative, man. That's why it's just one of these topics. Cause I think if you're Paul George, if you're Paul George, you're going to wait to see what LeBron does, or is Paul going to go and be that piece that entices LeBron? Because if you're Magic Johnson, that's what you have to be. Magic shouldn't even be talking to LeBron. LeBron's going to make his own decision. But I think ultimately every man makes his own decision, but he should be working to get Paul George, because if he can land that piece July 1st, I mean, you know what I mean? That may be it, but I'll say that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, no, you just think about that as a big three. When you talk about Paul George, speculation states that he wouldn't mind being a third tier person, and not by tiers, but having that third level of responsibility. And I mean, you have seen him as LeBron light kind of in the past, where he's not as big as LeBron, but he has a similar flow on the court in some ways, that they're both very ball dominant. So I'm just basically thinking that if he does make it there too, would he be comfortable with that third role?
Yeah, I don't think.
I think he probably would be. I mean, if you got two other great people, isn't that the big three concept? I mean, how do you construct something that can compete with the Warriors ultimately? How do you do it? So many people have tried and it hasn't worked.
Kawhi and Paul George goes a long fucking way, man, because they're two switch all defenders who spread the floor and can, have, I like to call them a five tooler, like if I can steal from baseball, right? Because they just have all the tools. And I will say this. So I do think they fit, because I think that Kawhi and Paul George, could you pick any two other star caliber players that are going to fall in line? That's why it's got to be so appealing, right? You know what I'm saying, though? Like, let's say Dame Lillard could be out of there, or you could break up the backcourt in Washington, right? You could go around the league and look at different stars. Toronto is looking to blow their stuff up, right? DeRozan's clearly a beta, but I'm just saying, like, Dame or like a Wall or a Beal or whatever, right? I don't think they're good. They're not wired to like fall in place and bow to LeBron and kiss the ring. And Kawhi, I'm not saying this like in a negative way, but Kawhi and Paul George, that's kind of the appeal of them. I think they're low maintenance stars. That's why if I'm San Antonio, I'm commanding the bag from the Lakers, because we know what Boston can offer, a ransom, right? But I'm demanding Kuzma, Ingram, and Kobe's unborn son. Like, like, like I'm, like I want everything. I want everybody. And so, I know that I don't think that Alonzo appeals to them because of, his situation, but because you keep hearing, okay, well, you could give him Ingram, or you could give him Kuzma and whatever. No, I want Ingram and Kuzma. I want to gut their young players off of them if you're going to do this, because I brought this up, man. What no one's talking about, of course, these teams are going to gamble on this. Kawhi, the health is not, we haven't seen Kawhi be Kawhi in over a year. And then Paul George, I just saw an Instagram video of him like when the season was over on crutches with both knees wrapped up.
Yeah, didn't you state that they had gone back in there and did some cleaning up of the ligaments and all that type of stuff?
Right.
More recently after the season, draining them, and that just has to be so uncomfortable.
He has a lot of mileage on him. And just guys deteriorate at different rates, right? Obviously, the devastating injury with the U.S. team, and then just playing style, right? So I'm just saying that they're not exactly Iron Men. So come May, is LeBron out there? You know what I'm saying? With I don't even know, with Josh Hart and Robin Lopez, Brooke Lopez. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Ooh.
So if I'm San Antonio, I want Kuzma and Ingram. I want Kuzma and Ingram. Never mind Lonzo, and I want a draft pick. I want the bag. But Boston, I've heard Tatum's untouchable, Jaylen Brown. Now, I will say this. If I'm picking, because you have to, it's a weird thing. If you don't want to trade to the Lakers, so that automatically makes the Celtics package a little more appealing. But then if the two pieces were either a Brandon Ingram or a Jaylen Brown, I'm going Jaylen Brown, because while Ingram may be the more talented player, Brown has the dog in him. You've seen it.
You can see it on his face. Definitely, he looks like a aggressive animal. Well, I mean, I'm not calling him the man animal. I'm just saying, like he's done some.
Ignorant.
You can see it in his eyes. You can see it in his eyes.
No, I don't know. But yeah, he's aggro. He's like very physical. He likes contact. He's in his rookie year, he was almost too aggressive, but he's starting to balance it out. Ingram kind of has that Wiz Khalifa sleepy eyes, right? He's got the shorts right about nut height. And, there's just certain red flags for me with Ingram, even though his skill set is amazing. As far as like five tools go, I just don't know if he has that. Because everybody likes to call him KD. Y'all remember KD was getting fucking buckets at Texas. When KD came in the league, he was dropping 20. Like, KD has that as a scorer. Ingram hasn't really shown me to be a scorer yet. He's kind of more of a Kawhi type model player. You could mold him into a Kawhi type player, I think.
Wait a minute, you said that you had some reservations about Ingram maybe off the court or something like that, just kind of some of the suspect things that you had witnessed. Yeah, I kind of feel you on that. Like, yeah, I'd seen that too. Just kind of funny.
Droopy.
But yeah, Ingram, he's not a Durant. They'd like for him to be. He had like a massive growth spurt later on, and he had to kind of relearn how to shoot, from what I remember. But no, man, he's nothing like Durant from that standpoint. Has he's been injured for a good deal of time, right?
He's nice, man. Like I said, he's gotten stronger, and for him it's pull the trigger. He doesn't have, like I said, that competitive score. He doesn't like look for his enough. He's shown flashes of it. And then just the droopy demeanor, the sleepy eyes, you know what I'm saying? I just see him as, I don't ever see him being more than a number 2 option. But I think he can be a two-way player, so that may be appealing. But Jaylen Brown is a two-way player as well. And I think Jaylen's ceiling is higher because we know that the juice is there for him. He wants it more. He appears to want it more. He's more competitive is what is my takeaway. Now, back to Lonzo, LeVar, and all these things, and the Spurs wouldn't want him, and the Warriors worked out LiAngelo Ball, Jello.
All right.
And he is actually,
what were they saying about
he's
him?
the shortest of the brothers, the heaviest. He's just not really built like a basketball player. He's kind of built like a football player. And
well, you said that this nigga's name was Jello.
Yeah, he's a little softer. No, he has a good physique as far as like for sports, but the problem is that he's a perimeter player. But he kind of has the Charles Barkley thing going on, and I know that's blasphemy. That's blasphemy to say that with his name, but I'm just saying he's like a 6'5" forward, 6'4", 6'5", but he kind of has a power forward's built. Now he can shoot the lights out. Apparently, he is the best shooter of the three. And I saw an interview with him. Now, the Warriors worked him out. I don't know if this was a favor of a friend or what, but they worked him out. And I saw an interview with LeVar and Chris Broussard. And you know what struck me was, boy, this boy's dumb. Right?
He sounded dumb?
Boy, dumb as hell. But it got me to thinking like, yo, maybe that is ideal for what he and we've talked about this before, the Manny Ramirez gene, right? Where he, there's not a lot of thought behind anything. That's why he can just be such a remarkable shooter. But yeah, so I just think that it made, and here's where let me bring this back to what I'm talking about. So it was noted with the Warriors, and we've seen this with their role players, Quinn Cook, Swaggy P, Omri Caspi, over the last few seasons, where and we've talked about this as well, how the ball gets heavy when it's shooters' hands, because you look over, there's Durant, there's Clay in the corner, like you're like, should I be shooting this shit? It takes pure shooters, it robs them of their confidence to play for this Warriors team, because you're surrounded by 4 Hall of Famers. And part of the reason they went out and got Swaggy P was because they're like, yo, Swaggy don't give a shit. He's going to let that shit fly. He ain't going to think about them fools. And he admitted that he was thinking about it. Like, he was like, dang, man. And it got to him. And my point,
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly. That means that, like, man, and I can imagine it. Like, you imagine, like, you get swung to you, and so it's kind of like, and now I'm bringing it back to LiAngelo, where if he just kind of like ain't nothing really popping up there, maybe he could just let the shit fly, because he's too dumb to realize he shouldn't be shooting it.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm not making fun of people with disabilities, but have you ever seen this one baseball movie where there's a kid who is not fully there socially, has some developmental disabilities, but he's just this excellent pitcher, and he basically is just throwing, like, because he used to throw apples back in his backyard into this pin thing, but this fool was just basically deadly he was throwing like 130 miles per hour, like crazy shit. So yeah, I know what you're talking about, like how you could just have that dumb strength where you're just kind of zoned into one task. There's not a lot phasing you one way or another.
Right. It limits your potential. Like, you can't be the leader, obviously, right? And there's limits to it. But if you're like a specialty guy, if you're a designated hitter or a designated shooter, it could go a long way, right? You don't feel the moment, you ain't thinking, you think and then you got LeVar in your ear telling you, you're the best. I'm the best. No one beat me one-on-one. No one beat me one-on-one. I use movie theater popcorn butter on my teeth. You seen that, brother? I mean, I need to go to the dentist too, but that brother, he looked like he just eating sticks of butter. I can't believe it's not butter. But so yeah, my thoughts on LiAngelo are, if he truly is, I haven't seen much. We didn't get to see him at UCLA. I've seen some high school shit. That don't count, the way they cherry pick. I didn't really see him play any at Lutheran. If he really is a knockdown shooter, and he's athletic enough to not be a complete liability on defense, maybe he can just be an unconscious gunner due to his mental makeup. But you
still have to deal with his pops though, and that seems unfavorable.
Yeah.
I mean, has he just gotten a bad rap, or is this something consistent? I mean, is it an act? It is getting him publicity. Maybe he's just playing the game, but I'm just waiting for him to make a statement about how someone's better than LeBron. I just wonder how far-reaching he'll go with his
there's no limits. It's so absurd that there's no like he on the Broussard thing. He said, "Oh, no one can beat him one-on-one, so he's the best." He said, he could beat Michael. Just if you go Google it, it's outrageous. It's so over the top that it's just acceptable at this point. I don't need like, but one thing that I like that he said that I'm a believer in is he was like, Broussard asked him, is it who's better, Jordan or LeBron? He goes, oh, LeBron's better. He goes, of course LeBron's better, because it's just things evolve. He's bigger, he's better, but Jordan's the best because of how he won. And it kind of made sense to me, right? Like, Jordan will always be the best. No one's really going to topple that. I don't think, like, that lore. But like, LeBron, and you want to switch eras. Does he go back and play in the 90s, or is Jordan come now? But like LeBron, like pound for pound, skill for skill right now, like these players evolve. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't elaborate like that, but I do believe that, like, when you go back in eras, you have to keep it in the era. And Jordan,
yes, you do.
Right?
Yeah, I was talking to a young prospect. They play out in San Diego State. They're a defensive tackle. We work together, and he was talking to me a little bit about it. and he was discussing exactly that, how he doesn't really like to compare eras or positions. Granted, a different sport, football, but even basketball comparisons too. From a winning percentage, and you think about people like Tom Brady, I just wonder in the future if another quarterback does come along, which is unlikely, we'll then be comparing them to Brady and his prowess and things like that. But the game will have evolved by then. Like, let's say, for instance, I know you'll love this, Jimmy G or Dak Prescott magically somehow gets to some level. The game
Jimmy
has
G might. I
evolved.
don't know about Dak
I
though.
mean,
Come on now.
yeah,
Don't throw.
I'm just trying to
Don't.
throw. I'm just trying to throw that in there. Anyways, whatever. But to your point, yes, LeBron is more physical. He's bigger. He's stronger. He can do a lot of the same things. But Michael he was considered to be a psychotic. Like he was a winner. I think you have to look at the game from that standpoint. Like
No.
if they won frequently, you can't compare it. I don't know. It is harder now, probably, but
I think Michael. I think that's where you would give Michael the clear advantage is the competitive gene and maybe some of the psychological warfare. But like, who's to say if LeBron was in the 90s, if he wasn't like Karl Malone times 3 and he just had his back to the basket and was just elevating and spiking. And here's the thing that people have a hard time getting past is that LeBron in each generation, while I believe for the most part, each generation gets better, they owe it to the previous. Just like how many in 20 years from now, how many guys are going to owe Steph Curry their career? Not like, and I don't mean that like literally, but like how that's why he's revolutionized the game. And Jordan, right? LeBron wouldn't be as good as he is without Jordan in what he did. So it always leads into the next era or generation.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, how's coaching going? I know you really enjoy that. What's it looking like with the squad? We got our first game tomorrow, Wednesday. It's gonna be pretty smooth. What's practice looking like?
Okay, yeah. We're having I'm co-coaching, helping out with the team, and it's a bigger roster because the summer there's more kids that sign up to play. So our first game we showed up, and the other team showed up at another location, so we don't have an actual game. So we've got quite a few practices. We're working on a press breaker and a press, but I think we have a solid team. We've got 2 strong ball handlers. And then one thing I've noticed is like we have 3 girls that are solid, including obviously Amaya. They just listen so much better. I know you can attest to this, like just being on a school campus. It just is what it is at this age. But literally, you just tell one of them once, do this, and they do it. And then the boys, it's just like over and over. But that's a common thing. But I think we're going to be decent. I'm excited. I'm excited for the season. And I like kind of right now I'm just assisting. There's a young coach that's the lead, and so I can kind of just add little details and wrinkles because what I've figured out is all drills work, all schemes work, but it's like the details. It's like how do you train them and how do you drill them, and what's your personnel, right? It all works at certain levels, and if you do it right.
Yeah, I'm just a big fan of your realism. Like you can really definitely see how you're feeling about the odds at times. It's definitely very apparent. It's just pretty. It's definitely a skill that we all work on. But you definitely know when the homie's like, well, this is looking good or this is not looking so good. So it's refreshing to hear that you got a good team. Definitely invite me out, man. I'm definitely trying to watch.
Right. No. And what I've learned also too is because this is a competitive league, so they have to play only a quarter. But if I'm not gonna, I do want to win when it's go time, so I'm not gonna let kids like explore, or I'm not gonna let them kind of like, oh, let's see what you can do out there. No. I'm going to kind of put them in a place to succeed, if you will. But it's not all my call. But you know what I mean? If you get what I'm taking. But yeah, let's move on. Let's move on from that. What else? So Draymond Green is holding out. It's not a holdout, but they were going to offer him an extension along with Klay Thompson this offseason. Klay's going to take it. Klay's going to Klay. He's like, all right, well, I'll take a little cut. I just want to be here. I just want to win rings. And I will say that Klay, this playoff run, man, I think he's my favorite Warrior. Like, it's not like it's not modeling my game, but how can you not? I think he's everybody's favorite Warrior at this point. Even the Warriors, they're like, oh, you can't fuck with Klay. Klay's the greatest.
Yeah. But he's like the silent partner. He's like an OG. He reminds me of like the dude in the mobster movies who's like in the cut, who's really doing work, but nobody really like implicates them till much later in the movie. But they're really the one running.
You're like,
things,
yeah, you're like, oh, you mean you've done all of this in the darkness?
Yeah, right. This fool's just hella scandalous, and just nobody.
They finally dig up his closet, and you're, oh shit, this fool has hella bodies on his hands.
Right.
Clay has some bodies on his hands, ladies. Not, but
oh yes,
you're right. He's kind of known for that.
After the parade,
right? He's a known bachelor, but he keeps it in control. There's a fine line, right? Because there's a lot of dudes where it gets ugly and they get embarrassed on social media, and you never see anything out of control with him. I think Michael has taught him well the lifestyle of, he saw at a young age how to low key that. But I want to get back to this because Draymond is holding out because if he's Defensive Player of the Year, he can be due a Supermax deal. Now, I love Draymond.
Hey, sup? Yeah.
But I'm not paying him a Supermax. I just can't do it, man. I can't do it. Supermax means like over 200 mil. Like there's only one team. I don't even know how I don't think the Warriors can because Steph's already on it. Maybe it'll be by that time they can. But as much as I love him, man, I'm sorry. I can't do a Supermax. I can't do it. So I was kind of thinking like, yo, man, is he going to be out of here in the next 18 months?
A year and a half?
Well, but for next summer. But my question to you is like so next summer, I believe he's 28. He'll be headed towards 30. Do you give Draymond Green and his player profile, and we know how unique he is, do you give him that Supermax, the full bag?
That's a great question. I personally think that you do. If it is not broken, you can find the money, and those types of individuals who are making those choices, I think they can get up enough capital to make it work for 2 to 4 years. This is just me talking, but I think for 2 to 4 years, you could win at least 3 more rings. And I'm an outsider. I don't know fully, but I mean, yes, it's a good deal of money, but what else do you need? It appears that what you have is very good. Well, I mean, but I guess my response to you would be, then what would you get in return if you do not maintain him?
Well, you'd have more roster flexibility, and you'd have the ability to pay a younger player. At this point, what does Jordan Bell look like? Or Anthony Davis hits the market. We've heard that rumor, right? So because you're looking at the end of this Supermax deal, if my math's right, he's going to be like 34 years old. So what does a 34-year-old Draymond Green look like getting paid, $35 million a year or whatever it will be? So it's looking at the back end of that. Of course, it'll be all gravy for probably the next 2 seasons. And I was initially like, my thought was like, yo, they're going to trade his ass. Like they're going to trade his ass, man, because they're forward thinking and they're aggressive with what they do, and they're going to try to bring in someone young to replace him, even though he's so unique. You could already see in the writing on the wall with Jordan Bell, they're kind of like, testing that out. I don't think they think Bell can replace Green, but I don't know how to put it, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. But as I'm reading about, I read this quote where Draymond Green went into the office or the GM, whatever. He went to meet with Lacob, and it was supposed to be like 5 minutes, and it turned into an hour and a half conversation about the draft because Lacob is draft crazy. We'll touch a little bit on that in a second, but and it struck me, and I started to think about the history of the comments between he and Draymond and the interactions I've seen. And Draymond, more than any of these guys, I think is Lacob's guy. Lacob being the owner. Draymond's kind of his guy, man.
Well, what makes you think that? What you heard or what you see?
I just think so. I think because he is the emotional leader in the heart of the team, and Lacob is the most hands-on owner in the league, I believe. So he's courtside at like every home game. So he's right front row, and he sees Draymond willing, barking, scratching, and crawling and doing all that stuff. He understands like how important he is beyond the numbers. And then I think just personality wise, I think they're straight shooters. They mesh, they're alphas. And so I think because of that they may just throw the whole bag at him, and he may, well, I don't even know if they can. I'm not a capologist, but I think that at first I thought, oh man, they're gonna move him. But then as I started to think about it and I heard that interview, I'm like, yeah, that is Lacob's guy. I think he may hold on to him. But Lacob's cutthroat, man. I don't know.
Yeah, you said you identified him as a cowboy or a venture
capitalist. Yeah,
definitely like quick decisions, let things go, move forward. He was good. We'll send him a postcard.
Yeah, he'll be like, hey, you'll always be in my family and Ring of Honor, and here is your
right.
yeah. I could see him making the hard decision. But
it's crazy though when you think about a severance package. Like I'm not sure if people really investigate how that works. Some people get them, but you leave a job and they give you 4 months worth of pay or whatever. So it's just interesting. We should do some research into who's the person who got the best payout for the longest run, who did the least, because there's definitely some bummy cats who commissioned some great contracts who are getting paid in later years to do very little. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny, but
no, that's the end. It's always the end of these contracts. Let's get a little into the draft. Like, so Chandler Parsons is on one of those contracts, $90 million. I don't know the years, but it's probably the worst contract next to Luol Deng in the league. And Memphis is sitting with the 4th pick. And they're like, hey, if someone will take him off the books, we'll trade you the 4th pick. Like, that's kind of crazy to me. And I was toying with the idea. I was like, does Iguodala and Livingston work for Parsons in the 4? And I'm in the trade machine just messing around. But then I came to the conclusion, because Lacob is draft obsessed, and he's talked about how, and it's been reported in multiple places, that the Warriors want to buy back into, they already have the 28th pick, but they want multiple picks because they want a youth movement this offseason. And I don't think teams are really going to be willing to deal with the Warriors at this point.
Yeah, why would you?
Yeah.
It's like the evil empire, like dealing with the Sith. I don't even know anything about Star Wars, but I'm pretty sure people aren't helping out the Dark Star or whatever it might be. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not the people you're gonna help out. Why would you? Everything in your own
They
personal
come
life.
back next season.
Okay, I'm reloaded.
Right, like, come on, man. I'm getting carried away with the sound effects, but it's like, yeah, I don't think it takes like one, like incompetence, like in Sacramento or something, or a real cowboy like Mark Cuban, where he's just a risk taker by nature. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Cuban would do it almost just to like piss off everybody else. Like, y'all fucked me in 11. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to help the Warriors. Fuck you. You know what I mean? Type of thing. But there's not many of them out there. And yeah, I think that they're almost going to just be like, oh, we aren't dealing with you. Sorry, Bob. We're not picking up your phone. Now we have the 28th pick. People have asked me, who do I like? And there's a lot at that deep in the draft, the 28th pick. It's really too hard to project how someone slide in the movement, right? We've heard of all these 3-and-D guys that they're looking at. I will say right now, sign me up for Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen?
Sign me up for Grayson Allen.
What do you like about him?
6'5". I like that he's nasty. I like that he's fucking nasty. I like that his competitiveness is a 10. And that's when everybody looks at the tripping, and it adds to our evil empire. You know, but the tripping, and so I don't know where I heard this, but they're absolutely right. The tripping is a sign of competitiveness. Right? Like, he gets beat. It's not, you can call it dirty, but really what he's doing is he's like, nope, sorry, this play's over. Like, you're not going to score on me.
Yeah. Equalizing.
Yeah, he's not trying to blow people's knees out. Like, it wasn't a J.R. Smith. You know what I'm saying? It's more of like a, nope, sorry, this play's over. Like, I'm not allowing a basket. And he's got a 40-inch vert. He can shoot. He's been on, he's been on a team where he's used to attention. And I just like him. I think he fits, man. And
plays well within a system. Definitely could probably learn, you know what I'm saying, is willing. Yeah, you need that dude.
And that's the whole, why they're going to bring in so many youth guys is because this last season was miserable, even for me to cover, right? There was probably 10 to 12 competitive games where like they really tried during the regular season. What do you think this upcoming season's going to be? They're going to fucking dog it. They're going to dog it if they have the same roster. So what do you need to do? You need to bring in young, ultra competitive guys. And Grayson Allen just, he fits that. Now, I'm not saying he's the only one, but I think that's more of a safe bet than some of these guys with maybe some more physical attributes, but are just like not as, we kind of know what Grayson Allen is.
Yeah, speaking about the draft, you think that the Suns will finally go ahead and do right? Or do you think that they're going to go ahead and continue to get small guards that are around 6'1" or 6'2" and put a multiplicity of crap out onto the floor? You think they'll finally get a big man, or what do you think?
So apparently Ayton is signing Suns jerseys already. So yeah, so
okay,
I mean, he's been Ayton's going to be the pick, and I said this early on because at first it was Doncic, right? Everybody was like, and I was like, you can't pass. I know the way the game's being played now, but to me, in my eyes, just like in the Durant draft, you kind of had to take Odin, just on what the possibility was. So Ayton's going to go 1. And I do like the fact, I know people are harping on his defense. I do like the fact that I think he can switch and move on the perimeter, and I think that's the key. He doesn't necessarily need to be Rudy Gobert at the rim, but if he can play out in space and switch and keep a guy in front of him, I think that we just know he can, the way he moves. I think he can, and by all accounts, I think that's going to be the pick. Sacramento, who knows, man? If they get, I will say this about this. Have you seen this Michael Porter Jr. kid? It's funny because all these kids are coming in, and it's a new. You can tell it's a new generation because all their favorite players are KD. It's no longer LeBron. And Michael Porter Jr. has some bold statements about KD, the best player, and he's like, I'm a mix between KD and Giannis, a little T-Mac sprinkled in.
Ooh.
So he's not lacking in confidence. But here's the thing. So he had back surgery. He sat out all year of Missouri State, whatever it is, right? The back surgery is not from an isolated injury. Like, he didn't get hurt and need back surgery. They were just like, oh, you need back surgery. Like, your shit's fucked up. So that, and then when I watched game footage of him and watched him move, he kind of moves like he has a backpack on. Yeah, like his posture, it's troubling to me. It's troubling to me. And so I don't want to wish the more talent, the better players, because he does have a nasty skill set, and he's big. But to me, my eye test, I was like, ooh, because it wasn't an isolated injury. And then looking at his posture, I'm like, I don't think I'm touching him. Now, that said, so if you're Sacramento or you're Atlanta, you've been bad long enough now where I don't think you can whiff. But if you're Memphis at 4, I think Memphis has built up enough of like a cachet with their fan base because they've been good for a while, right? Up until last year, they've been solid for like the last 5 years. So I think that they could maybe gamble on him because they're never going to land a star. But that's the ultimate gamble in the draft, Michael Porter Jr. And then you got, Josh Jackson Jr. I'm waiting for Summer League, honestly, because I want to see them. And I know that doesn't hold a lot of weight, but that's where I get to like make my reads on how they move and do this stuff. I don't watch a lot of college basketball. Anything else though, man? I think this was pretty good. Do we miss anything on this off season? What's going on? You asked me about the practice. So you guys are ready for this. What time of the night are y'all going to play?
Okay, so it's better. So there's only 8 teams, I guess. And there's this one league called the Man Up League, and they were out there on Saturday, and they've got a crazy thing going. I guess people come in from out of state for the Man Up League. They look real good over there. Like people were real fast. But ultimately, we're playing. It's an 8-team league. We play the Monstars first game. I think we had played them before, but they've got some receivers, and I don't know. We'll compete. A lot of the people we had last time, the line isn't as strong, unfortunately. Nobody wants to play line, so if we can block for our dude, he should be decent. So yeah, I'm excited. We played mainly at 7 o'clock. You're asking what time we play. It's right in between 7 and 9. So it's going to be hot, but it'll be what it is. We have a week off for July 4th, so we'll be out there.
Nice, man. Nice, yeah.
But yeah, I wish you could play. I just wish you could, like, if you just showed up. Like,
you think I could really just step on and be effective? I don't know about that, man.
Bro, I mean, nah, I'm telling you, like, I really do. Because especially if you played safety or if you played QB, like, I really do. Man, it's just funny because the ball placement is what I had noticed. It's like it's very precise. So yeah, that's what. No,
I do. I'm not even gonna front. This may be corny, but I do like when from those times on the field there. Like I was like, if freshman year, if like someone was like, you're the freshman quarterback, and I worked my way up, I think I had potential there. I would have to pack on some weight, but like I have the arm talent, is what they say, right?
Yes, yeah, bro. Well, yeah, they were. I guess RG3 recently was talking some weird stuff. It was like a code or some poetry about how he was grooming one of the new QBs, and he was a young bird, and he was nurturing him so he could fly, and this and that. And RG3, like, it was just
young
weird,
king,
like
his young king, and he was like, the trick is how I got fast in my younger age was I would keister a football. And I would kegel, and it made my glutes extra strong. And then I got braids. Yeah.
Yeah, boy, it's real funny because that was crazy too. And then T.O., I guess one thing you can say about T.O. is this
He's a
man
freak
the
of
other
nature.
day ran a 4.43. Like, all y'all need to chill, because even Dion, and I'm not coming at you, I'm nothing like Dion, but I don't know, if I was T.O., I might challenge some of these other guys like Shannon, or why don't we just race? That, you know what I'm saying? Like, he still has that very real to him, because and you know that Julio Jones's name, I might be the only dumbass in the room, but his name's not even Julio, right? Isn't it something else? Somebody was showing it to me. Like, that's how great Julio is, that his name's not even Julio, but we think it is. It's something different. It's kind of
Yeah, he
crazy,
went by
bro.
a nickname.
But
Julio. I don't know what Julio's age is, but we're not, just like with Megatron. Julio will end prematurely because just like the shit that he's asked to do, and with his frame, that's like the cost of that frame, right? He gets cracked. Like he's amazing.
yeah, he does.
but he gets
But
cracked.
nah, Julio's the best. Julio for president. I'm telling you, he's the man. Like,
But
he
back
really
to
is.
T.O. though, because he's such a physical specimen and his work ethic and all these things, but he has no balance, right? Because emotionally, he is like 10 years old.
Yes.
He's embarrassing because he
Yes.
has all the physical attributes, but he never balanced it out and like became a man almost.
Wow, I never thought about that. That like he's imbalanced from a physical to emotional standpoint directly. Like, you
It
can really
is,
see
man.
it. It's very apparent. This fool could lift 450.
He's like,
but
"What
like,
did you say?"
Might just break down.
He starts-
Yeah, right. And hella doesn't add up. Like that one coach you were showing. Like, you guys are really fucking this up for everyone. You want to act like this?
You could
Just-
tell, man, because that's one thing I'm working with Amaya right now. I'm very excited. I don't want to jinx into the season, and because I know some of the boys I coach are aware of the channel too. That's why I'm selective in some of the things. But
Yes.
there's such, and you know this. There's such thing as trying too hard, right? And
I've had to learn that, and I've learned that from you.
And what I realized was I was like, I'm putting all this pressure on her, not knowingly, like unconsciously, because we put in this work. She knows we put in this work, and I think she feels like, oh, I better make it. And I'm like, no, that's not even it. I don't even care. Just let it fly. Just be loose. Let's not even worry about the result. Just let it fly. And I promise you, this week she's probably shot the highest percentage I've ever seen her shoot in working into this game. And she's been more aggressive.
Nice.
So I've kind of relieved that pressure valve. We figured that out together. Like, I think you're over trying. You're too worried about the outcome. Just play. And everybody's different, right? Some people need to worry a little more, right? Probably. But for her and for just finding that balance of that, man.
Excellent. Yeah, man. I'm definitely trying to come watch, support.
For sure. We're gonna be hitting Sunsplash. I guess we're getting these season passes, and I'm working.
It goes down at Sunsplash. Like Sunsplash, like you can see some really crazy stuff if you really are observant. Like any water park in America, like they always have that classic idea of like, what if aliens came and saw like an amusement park? What would they think about civilization?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like water parks, you always see parents disciplining kids, or kids doing sneaky shit, or just people wearing the craziest stuff around. Like the other day I heard a story of someone getting pissed at their brother, so they took the suntan lotion and sprayed it in all of their drinks,
hell
all
no.
over the fries, all over the pizza.
Hell no.
Like, it's a real shitty thing to do, right? Wouldn't you be pissed? You just paid $58 for some drinks and fucking some pizza and shit, and your dumbass brother put suntan
I swear,
lotion
like
all
to
over
me,
it. Just-
and maybe it's a humble brag. It's not even a brag, but like people that know me, because like things have happened to me, and I've had to, and you get upset. Things happen to everybody, but like people like amongst my circle of friends or like whatever, like as a kid, they knew like if they were doing something like that, it was on. Like it was like, you know what I'm saying? You know how because people are selective in who they do that to, and even if it was like a sibling or a cousin, it was like, oh no. Not doing it to that fool. That it will be way too big of a scene. It will be way too big of a scene. But I think that what I have seen there is because the heat fades you, and fools show up hella perked, and you see them in the wave pool just kind of like limp bodying. And I was joking with my boy about like how if you're a lifeguard there in that wave pool, like you got to really be lifeguarding and shit.
Yeah, don't get too relaxed.
You ain't working
or
on the
comfortable.
tan.
Yeah, because cats Yeah, you cats do get way too faded. Or the lazy river out here, the going tubing or whatever.
You just see a bright red native slumped over a tube with like a hat tipped down, and you're just like, oh man. I'm just saying, been in the sun all day. These are things I've seen. I'm not even hypothetically.
Yeah, no,
these are things I've seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that'll be fun, man. Maybe we can link up there when we do the night splash. We try to go at night and get out the sun.